Hi, and welcome to the Carnivore Stories podcast with me, Alyssa Grubner. The carnivore way of eating has completely changed my life, and it's stories just like the ones you'll hear on this podcast that kept me encouraged every step of the way. I hope you're ready to hear an inspirational carnivore story. I know I am, so let's get into it. All right, welcome to episode 2 of the Carnivore Stories podcast. I am your host, Alyssa Grubner, and today I am joined by Tiny Bechtel. Tiny is a registered nurse and the neuro ICU, and she lives in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You can find her on Instagram at KetoforTinyB. Thank you so much for meeting with me today, Tiny.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the great introduction. I'm very excited to be here. How are you?
Yes, I am outstanding. I'm outstanding. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in. The first thing I wanted to ask you is, how many years young are you? And can you give us some background about your life leading up to when you found carnivore?
Yes, absolutely. So I am 37 years young. I currently live in Philadelphia, like you said, but I am from Swaziland, well, now named Eswatini. It's a small country in Southern Africa. So I grew up there. I moved to the States when I was 18 years old. This is about 2003. I came to go to university. So as far as how I got into carnivore, it starts from years of being overweight. As a child, I was
Oh,
overweight. As a teenager, as an adult, never had
yes,
that
I can
spot where,
relate.
never had that moment where I just was not worried about weight. So this started very early. Those thoughts led me to just being on a diet my whole
Mm-hmm.
life. So I think the first time I realized I could, diet, I was a teenager. I think I don't remember how old I was, but I was, around high school, maybe before high school. I mean, our high school years are a little different back home than they are here. So I just started not eating because I thought,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if I don't eat, I won't gain weight or I will
Yeah.
lose some weight. So it started with that mental thing, and then I was got hungry. I could not
Mm-hmm.
eat for a while, and then that led me to just starting to have very, very unhealthy habits with food. So it would be the thing where I'm like, oh, now I ate too much, now I should restrict myself. And so then I
Right.
would do the thing where I didn't eat. It probably wouldn't even last a day or two. And then I would be like, okay, then I'm hungry now. So then I would binge eat on all the wrong things because I didn't even
Yeah.
understand nutrition at
Learn
that
to
point.
eat
I was
everything.
a child. And so, so now restricting and binging, restricting and binging. And now it led me to when I came to the States, and I'm still overweight. But at that point, I don't, even though I knew I had to be on a diet, I didn't even understand what that was. And now
Right.
there was more abundance in food because back home, it's like you ate because it was time to eat. Or you could, have some snacks here and there, but it wasn't in my face all of the time. So now coming here to the States, it was just food, 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 food. I've never seen so much food, and I love food and I love junk food. And so it just got so out of control, so out of control until
Yeah.
I believe it was like my first year out of college when I got
Okay.
introduced to Weight Watchers. And then I
Okay.
started that diet, got some success out of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I was hungry all the time and it never stopped me from having, the binging moments.
Yeah.
And then at some point, a few years later, I learned about keto. I had
Mm-hmm.
some success with that. But then, of course, I would have moments where I would have the binging.
Yeah.
And then, so it was back and forth between Weight Watchers and keto, calorie restriction, um, just hunger and mental, just horrible relationship with food until I decided last year in 2021, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try keto again.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. And at that point, I was doing it with my sisters. So it felt really good. But then
Okay.
it was difficult to stay away from the keto trap, this, the
Yeah.
keto treats, the that and the this.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
and then leading to hearing people online, like it's like I was always researching some diet and to lose weight. And then in July of 2021 is when I finally was like, you know what? This carnivore thing sounds okay. I get to eat. I don't count what I'm eating. I don't track
You're right.
anything. I eat until I'm full, and then I live the rest of my
Uh-huh.
life. And so that's
Right.
how I
Right.
got into it. I know that was a
So,
long,
okay, so let
long
me ask
story.
you. No, 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 that was perfect. Let me ask you though. So you knew about keto for a while and you kind of went back and forth. When was the first time you became aware of carnivore, that hey, you can just eat meat? When was the first time? Or where
I
did you
would say
first hear about carnivore?
I would say the first time I heard, well, YouTube. I mean, I do spend a lot of
Okay.
time on like just listening to, diet and health and fitness kind of podcasty type thing on YouTube. I follow a lot of channels. I don't really remember what sparked my attention, but I can tell you it was all close to July last year. So I would say maybe
Mhm.
2 months before July 2021. I I just like a video popped up, but the video that I remember, I think her name is Lily King, and I
Yeah,
remember
okay.
her energy just pop. You know what? She had this video, and it said, "All I eat is meat and eggs," or something like that on her caption. And I
Yeah.
thought, this girl's crazy. This is
Right,
crazy.
right.
So then I ended up clicking on her video because it wasn't a long video, and I just wanted to hear what she was talking about. And so she's talking about she eats meat, she eats eggs, and she looks really good and she has this very catchy energy. So I couldn't stop listening to her. But even at the end of that video, I was like, this is crazy, like how can she just eat this? But at that point too, I didn't even link that to a weight loss type of thing because Lily, she's there, she looks very good, she looks fit. And I didn't like connect on the weight loss part because I'm
Mhm.
like, well, my only reason ever in life to try some crazy thing is to lose weight.
Right.
So, and then I think after I watched a video, YouTube will start giving you other
Yeah.
suggestions. I saw the video of I started following oh goodness, now I'm blanking. Laura Spath. Her
Okay,
video
yeah.
started to pop up.
Okay.
And then I just started binge watching her video and I started following it. I'm like, this girl, she really lost all this weight eating meat. And I think she did a lot of fasting back then. Like I said, how? So then I started reading about it and then I thought, oh my God, it makes sense. It's a ketogenic diet where you
Mhm.
don't really eat any carbs. And for me, I think it might help me because I have a binge eating problem. And
Right.
a lot of my binge eating comes from being triggered by certain things. And those certain
Yeah.
things are carbohydrates of any kind. So even with keto, that's
Right.
when I realized that keto really for me, even though it can work, it is hard for me to not have the keto treats and the
Hmm.
keto sweeteners and things like that. And I realized that if I can just do what she did by just eliminating the sugar so I don't crave it, if I could just
Right.
eliminate the veggies, because when I don't love vegetables, I just thought it was something I was supposed to be eating.
Right.
And so
Right.
then around that time, I it was all close around July, but then I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. I don't have to count carbs. I don't even like the thing of subtracting their carbs and total carbs. I don't want to weigh myself. I don't want to worry. I just want to eat
Hmm.
and feel full and move
Right.
on with
It's
my
so
life.
simple. So simple. So simple.
Yeah.
And yeah, and those keto treats, they are a slippery slope because before you know it, all you're eating is keto treats.
Yeah. All day. I go to Costco and get the little cookie thing. There's like a big bag of cookies like this, and the serving, oh, it's only 2 net carbs for so much. And
Right.
then I just keep
Right.
going until that bag was gone, and then I'd feel
Yeah.
horrible.
Right.
Yeah.
And eliminating everything, it's not even an option. It's just if it's meat, you eat it. And it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? It
Yeah.
really is. Okay, so next thing I wanted to ask you is, did you have any issues adapting to carnivore? I know that for me, because I was coming from keto, I didn't go through like a keto flu or anything going to carnivore, but did you have any adaptation issues?
Honestly, I was, like you said, I was coming from keto. So
Hmm.
it was not, I didn't feel the keto flu because I think I was already in some kind of ketosis. And I already had learned about like supplementing with electrolytes.
Okay.
And so I knew going into that, you know, I was going to need electrolytes if I wasn't feeling well. And funny thing, talking about adaptation, I learned like a lot of people who go into carnivore, like the first couple of weeks or whatever, they'll have like, some loose stools or whatever.
Right.
And
Yeah, I did. I
I
did.
was concerned about having loose stools, but at the same time, I was like, actually, this wouldn't be such a bad thing because I'm always constipated.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
constipated
Yeah.
on the American Standard Diet and I was
Mhm.
constipated on the keto diet. So I thought,
Okay.
oh my God, if there was ever a way of eating where I'm not constipated,
Yeah.
that would be great,
Right.
So,
Right. So I have
so
the
I
same.
kind of was expecting,
Yeah.
sorry, I was expecting the loose stools, but they never
Uh-huh.
even came. Like
Oh,
my bowels work just fine. Like I don't go every
okay.
day, but I'm not constipated. But I never even went through that phase where I was like waiting to be like, oh, I'm gonna have diarrhea. No, it
Yeah.
did not happen. So to be honest, no, I don't, because I was coming from keto. I did not feel that keto flu that I felt coming from American Standard Diet to
Right.
keto. It's like my body
Right.
kind of already like was in a space where I wasn't withdrawing from carbs like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So what about your family and friends? What do they think about you eating all meat? Or what is
So
that like
now,
navigating? Yeah.
so now it's been, I think, long enough, but I'm going to just rewind. So my parents, for example, they know, well, my family in general, they know I've struggled with my weight. And they
Hmm.
know that I have tried a lot of things. And they know I'm very sensitive about whatever my weight in general, and then also about what I'm trying to do at the time to kind of fix the problem.
Hmm.
So I think they've seen me mentally just going through these ups and downs with my weight, that they kind of they always support what I'm doing. And
Hmm.
if they don't, they just don't say anything about it because they
Okay.
don't want to
Okay.
mess with me.
Okay.
So so with carnivore, I think it was such an extreme, because before it's like Weight Watchers, it's like, oh, okay, that's good. You still eat regular food,
Hmm.
you just have to count your points, which makes sense. And then keto, I think they just didn't understand what that meant. And so I would find myself like needing to explain a lot, like, it's, you eat fruit, you eat meat and vegetables and, low sugar fruit.
Hmm.
And it still was just difficult, especially coming from a family where we cook a lot and then we eat whole foods. Like my family's not too much into junk food. I'm too much into junk food.
Okay. Okay.
So it
It's
was just
that
my
American influence.
oh
It's
my
the
God, for
American
sure.
influencers.
For sure. And so when we would, the fruit thing, I think that's the thing my mother had a problem with, that, I'm not eating fruit when I'm on keto. So then I would just try to explain to her mom, it's carbohydrates. I don't respond well to carbohydrates. But when I
Mhm.
came to carnivore, I think they just thought, oh my goodness, this kid has lost her mind. She has completely lost it. And here we are. And,
Right.
but lucky for me, like I said, when I was doing keto this last time, I was doing it with my sisters. And my sisters had
Okay.
caught on about the ketogenic diet and really what it was. So I had the support from my younger sister in general. She understood that if you want to be in ketosis, you got to cut out the carbs.
Mhm.
And if eating meat means you don't have to ever worry about the carbs, it's still a way of a ketogenic diet. But
Right.
they still just didn't understand the whole thing about, what about your vegetables? You need your vegetables. So the hardest thing was just to explain to them that I was going to get the nutrition from the meat. Don't worry about it. I'm going to, so I just kept repeating myself, I don't need vegetables to get
Uh-huh.
nutrition. I get all my nutrition from eating this steak. I get all my nutrition from making this bone broth. Like I kept to repeat
Right.
it to
Right.
my parents. And then as far as my friends, I guess I'm just like older now, so I don't care as much. And I just tell
Yeah.
them, so I just tell them I'm eating meat. And then
Uh-huh.
it's not like a long discussion. I mean, sometimes if I'm at work and I'll people, they're talking about whatever that they think is healthy, and
Mhm.
then they'll comment because they found my Instagram. Oh my God.
Mhm.
So and then they'll keep making these kind of comments like, Tiny doesn't eat this, she'll just eat a bunch of meat. And then somebody will ask me that question, like, you don't eat your fruit, like your vegetables, what about your fiber? What about this, nutrient? What about this? And so at those points, I'll have the conversation with them.
Yeah.
But then I have to always catch myself, like, these people are not where I am and they don't
Mhm.
understand what I understand. And that's okay. But
Right.
I, my best friend, she eats like regular food, and she
Mhm.
will roll her eyes. She won't say anything. She'll just be like, "Oh, okay, Tiny, you're eating your meat." And that's fine. So I think now, because it was difficult in the beginning, but
Mhm.
now it's just my parents are here visiting right now, and they understand that I'm going to wake up and eat meat.
Right.
And
And they
so
see you're still alive. You're
yes.
getting up every morning.
Yes. Yeah. So they don't,
Yes.
it's not hard with my family. It's actually, they just understand that I'm going to do what I want, and they're okay with
Right. Right.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's good. All right. Are you strict carnivore? So, like, I think of strict carnivore as someone who's just eating beef, salt, and water.
Hmm.
Or what do you include in your diet?
So I've had different phases of it. So
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
so I think in the beginning I was eating just meat, like whatever carnivore stuff. I
Mhm.
was including
Yeah.
every beef, chicken, fish, whatever. I was eating it.
Hmm.
And then I decided at some point last year, I decided to try, like, do like a beef and salt challenge, where you
Okay.
eat the ruminants and just salt
Yeah.
and some spices or whatever. And but then that was restricting, like
Hmm.
it was okay because I was doing it with a group. It was only for 30 days,
Right.
and it was fun actually to see how the many ways I can make beef.
Yeah.
But then
You get real
after,
creative.
yeah, and then after that, I learned that I could do without the dairy, because I love
Mhm.
dairy, but dairy is one of those things for me that I it triggers like the addiction
Yes.
thoughts in my mind. So I learned that I didn't need to have dairy, but it also just how I didn't have the cravings for it the longer I didn't eat
Hmm.
it. So there was
Right.
some point where
Right.
I wasn't eating dairy, and then but other times, like around like my cycle, I'm like craving it. Or
Mhm.
so where I am now with carnivore, I am mostly I'm still eating anything in the animal kingdom.
Mhm.
But I do try to limit the dairy, because I
Yeah.
just know that it triggers me. Like, I can't eat a serving of cheese. I eat a block of
Right.
cheese.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
Yeah. So
heavy cream.
I definitely struggle with binge eating too. And I know that feeling when a binge is coming on. And I noticed that when I would have cheese,
Mm-hmm.
it would it would trigger that feeling like, ooh, what else can I get into? Some pork rinds, some bacon.
Yes. Yes. I love cheese, but now I try, if I'm gonna buy it, I need to buy it for that specific meal,
Right.
and
Right.
I cannot buy it close to my like menstrual cycle, because I just
Okay.
know when that week before comes, I have no control. I'm just gonna go and just grab
Okay.
it, and you can't
Yeah.
stop me. So I've learned, over time. I know, one, it's not a good idea for me to have it, but sometimes I don't want to get myself to that moment where now I've restricted myself so much on something that I do like, that it will then trigger the binge now because I'm stressed.
Exactly.
So it's
Mhm.
just like a lot. So to answer your question, I eat everything under the animal kingdom, but I
Okay.
do limit the dairy. I like heavy cream on my coffee. but I limit that. Now I just, do black coffee in the morning because that's just a habit with the caffeine.
Right.
And I don't buy the heavy cream because if it's there, I'm going to put it in the coffee. And that's where I'm at.
Okay. What about seasonings? Are you doing just salt, or do you have like the other things like herbs, spices,
So
pepper?
I do herbs, I do spices. I don't
Okay.
like black pepper. Actually, I learned that after I started eating carnivore. But I
Okay.
can tell you that my palate has changed since the beginning and
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I needed to, especially if I would make something like in the pressure cooker, and I like stews. I grew up with a lot of stew meat, so it
Mhm.
was difficult for me to have a stew without, the curry powder, the garlic
Yeah.
salt, the salt, all these
Right.
things. But then, so in the beginning, I did definitely ate a lot of all the seasoning. I didn't have it. I didn't limit myself on that. But then the more meat I ate, the less I liked that intense flavor of different things,
Right. Right.
So
The noise.
yeah. So now I just find myself eating, I'll have a steak, but when I'm having steak, just steak, like a whole steak, not steak bites, I just want salt on
Hmm.
it. And then when I eat like steak bites, for example, I might use garlic salt. And
Hmm.
then, so I just, and it's less and less. So I just don't like that. And I just like the hint of the flavor, but it can't just take over the taste of the meat, if that makes sense. So yes, I still
Yeah.
use the herbs, but I love just the meat with the salt and then a little hint of flavor of something else. Because sometimes I feel like it just helps with the variety too. Like if I'm eating,
Hmm.
steak bites, I put garlic salt today. Tomorrow I might use a little onion salt. But I'm also very selective
Right.
about what salt I'm using. I've
Okay.
been, sucked into Redmond's real salt.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
so even if I do use those herbs, they're coming from Redmond. So it's like, the
Okay.
organic, there's no
Right.
MSG, there's no sugars, none of that stuff. If it has any ingredient that I don't recognize, I don't even pick it up anymore from the
Yeah, it's
store.
trash. It's
Yeah.
trash. Yeah. So do you fast?
Ooh, fascinating. Yes. And today I'm not sure if I'm fasting or not, but I'm not hungry. I think I'm going to just push it until I am hungry. So going back to the weight loss thing, because it's very difficult for me to lose weight,
Mhm.
even on carnivore, some people get on carnivore and they're like, oh, I lost 20 pounds in
Yeah.
6 minutes.
Six days. Yeah, 6 minutes, right?
And I thought that's what was going to happen with me. I thought, people are losing weight. I mean, even with Laura Spot, like I said, I think she like lost her like a bunch of her weight in the first 6 months or something like that.
Mhm.
And so I thought that was going to happen for me. I'm just going to eat meat and like whoosh, I'm gonna just lose
Right.
weight. Well, that didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Uh-huh.
So I had points even in this journey where I'm just frustrated because I was so weight focused. Like, wait, I want to lose weight. I
Right.
want to lose weight. And so I find myself in just this thing where it's like everybody ill. You know what? I did lose weight on that 30-day beef and salt challenge.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when I look at habits since carnivore, that was one that actually made an obvious change within 30 days.
Mhm.
Um, so leading to fasting. So I always had a hard time fasting. When I was keto, I would always try intermittent fasting. Even when I wasn't keto, I'd learned about intermittent fasting at some point. It was not something that was easy for me. I mean, it was a struggle. It was a mental struggle. I could not do it. But
Mhm.
then in December, I decided, you know what? I've been hearing about people that can do these long fasts. I don't know how to do it. And I'd never
Mhm.
joined, I'd never like been part of like a carnivore community or a keto community or any kind,
Mhm.
really. And I kept, I was at that point, I was following a lot of carnivore people on YouTube. And I kept hearing, about fasting on carnivore, how one, it's easier because you're not hungry, which was true because even when I wasn't trying to fast, I would just like eat, automatically eat 2 meals because I just
Yeah.
wasn't hungry and I didn't
Right.
need to snack because I was just satisfied.
Mhm.
So I started following Steak and Butter Girl.
Mm-hmm.
And this led me to listening to her videos, and she was just talking about how she had this coach and she just all of a sudden learned how to fast and it was so easy. And I kept thinking, how would anybody ever fast for more than a day and it would just be so easy? But at some point in December, I just was like, I'm going to just join her community group just for the community part.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as I got into the group, there was just like this whole conversation about fasting. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not ready. I didn't come here for this. Like, I'm not ready for this. I just wanted community support for eating carnivore and staying accountable and things like that. But then because I'm the kind of person who if you ever told me, Alyssa, that, if I did 80 jumping jacks, I'd lose a pound. I'm the kind of person who would just do that because you
Me
told me
too.
that.
Me too. Me too.
So when I joined her group, I thought, and these people are talking about this fasting, and it's like this whole schedule you follow, you build up to it. And I thought, okay, maybe I should try.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I got into fasting. And I did. I started January of 2022 and I built my fasting muscle. But it started with eating 2 meals a day. This week you're eating 1 meal a day. You do this alternate day thing. And honestly, it did not feel hard because it was the thing that was comforting is because I could always eat. If I didn't feel good in fasting, I could always go back and eat.
Right.
And also when it was an eating day, I could just eat. It wasn't like, before when I was doing intermittent fasting where I would still, I'm fasting for 16 hours. It's so difficult to get to that 16th hour. But now I have these 8 hours to eat and I just binge for 8 hours. It wasn't like that. It was just like you fast for however long the day of fasting was. And then tomorrow you can just sit down and have this huge meal. And then you're not worrying about eating, for however long. So I got into fasting that way. It was through her group. And I actually like it. I like how my mind is when I'm fasting. I like how even just like my GI tract, that feeling of just rest, like I'm not full. I don't have to worry about cooking. And also I learned that I enjoy meal prepping at points, but I don't love eating carnivore at work. One, because I got to meal prep it. I work 12-hour shifts, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I don't like bringing food to work, right? Like, and then reheating it. So I in this fasting challenge that I was doing, I learned all those things. It's like, I just would rather be at home and eat my meal at home. So now it's like, I'd rather just eat when I'm off work then, because then that way but it gets tricky. If I'm working 3 days in a row, of course, I'm not going to fast for 3 days sometimes. And then also if I am working till 8 p.m., I don't want to wait till 8 p.m., 9 p.m. to eat some days. So it's been a lot of, back and forth. So do I fast? Yes. But I don't right now, since I finished that challenge, I don't have a strict fasting schedule, but I need some kind of structure. So this week I'm just thinking about, I need to get back to creating a schedule that works for me to fast. But also I'm the kind of person that if I go on a strict schedule about what I'm going to do, that is long, like 2 months or so, I get burned out. And I learned that from that challenge, because it went from January to, like, it was like 3 months or 3+ months.
Okay.
And by the end of it, my mind was just like, okay, it was good, but this is also, it's coming to a point where it's more stress than it is fun. So I had to do another mental reset, so which is kind of where I'm at right now. Like, am I fasting for 24 hours? Am I fasting for 48 hours? Am I fasting at all? Why am I even doing this fasting? So I just keep having these conversations. But yes, I do fast. Yes, I enjoy fasting and I love the benefits of it because I understand the science of it now. Is it always easy for me to do it? No.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing with carnivore, and you're so nourished from the meat. Like, your body does not freak out. Like, I tried fasting before carnivore, before keto, and it was like this crisis in my body. Like, I felt like I was dying. But if I do, now that I'm carnivore, I will fast when it comes naturally, when I've eaten and my body just says, okay, we're good for a while. And I just wait until I'm hungry again. And the food tastes so much more amazing. Like, I love saying the best seasoning is hunger. Because you
Yes.
know, when you're really ready to eat and you go ahead and eat. Um, okay, so what do you typically eat in a day? What is your go-to?
In a day. All right. Well, there isn't meat that I don't love,
Yeah.
but now I find myself leaning towards certain things. So I eat a lot of beef. And it's not because I just only love beef. I mean, I love chicken, I love pork, I love
Yeah.
lamb. But if I am thinking of what I'm going to eat and I go to the freezer, I'll just reach for
Uh-huh.
the ribeye. I will
Yeah.
reach for the beef short ribs, and then I have like some pork belly, and then sometimes I'm like, do I
Yes.
want pork belly? I don't really want to just sit there and defrost. So automatically I'm driven to beef.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I used to love eating eggs. I would eat eggs every single day. And
Okay.
now I go days without thinking
Yeah.
about eating eggs. And with chicken, my boyfriend eats low carb,
Uh-huh.
keto-ish, with a lot of weekend, he eats whatever he wants. But
Yeah.
I do all the cooking in the house, so he eats, like he'll eat whatever I cook, and he likes chicken. So I
Yeah.
prepare a lot of chicken, and I noticed that most of the time I eat chicken is because I was cooking it for him, and
Hmm.
now it's here, so and now I'll eat the chicken. But my typical day, for for example, I'll like my first meal will be a steak in the air fryer. Whether I like ribeye, I just love ribeye, and I love Brazilian picanha, which I
Oh,
learned is like it's like some people call it rump roast, or it's like the sirloin with the fat cap on it.
okay. I am yet to
Whew.
get my hands, my paws on a
Oh,
picanha, but
mhm.
that's what I want. I see it on Instagram and
Yeah,
I'm like, look at all
it's
that fat
amazing.
on the
It's
top. Looks so
amazing.
delicious.
It is so good. And the price difference, because I love ribeye, but if you get a pound of ribeye, I get my ribeyes from Costco, but you get a pound of ribeye I buy it in bulk. So it'll be like 10.99 a pound for the
Okay.
ribeye. But then for the picanha, it's like 6.99 a pound. But the taste, and just like that
Oh,
juicy,
oh,
just I mean, at some point, every when I eat a picanha, I'll be like, oh my god, this is so much better than ribeye.
oh
But
my
then I'll
God.
have a ribeye, and I'm like, oh, I just love ribeye so much. So my typical day, so I start, with some kind of steak. So either ribeye, picanha, short ribs. I'll do that, and I'll just eat a whole lot of that. So, and then the second meal, um, it will probably, if I'm it will be something smaller. Like my first meal
Mhm.
is usually huge,
Yeah.
but then my later meal will be it really could be, I can eat a steak again, or I can just make some eggs, maybe with some bacon for like the second
Okay.
meal, if I'm eating two meals. So it's a lot of steak. And then the week before my period, like I said, I crave a lot of cheese. But I also
Hmm.
noticed that if I, instead of having cheese in the house for that week, I will have the pork belly. So it's
Mm,
almost like my body just wants that, like that salt, that fat kind
you're
of
right.
thing. So if I
Mhm.
eat some pork belly, it just kind of makes me feel good. My mind is quiet, the
Mhm.
cravings are silent, so it's just like, now I know the week before I gotta be on alert, because some thought will come about something I shouldn't eat, and I better have those, pork belly on hand.
Oh,
So lots of beef, mainly beef. My diet is probably, I'd say, 80% beef, and then some other meats. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Yeah, I pork belly. Oh my goodness. I just can't get enough. You've probably seen me eating my pork belly every single day.
Yes.
There's something in there that my body's like, yeah, eat that. You need that.
So good. It's
All
like
right.
that good
So
fat, and just, oh, dear Lord.
yes, that fat, and then it's so high in the vitamin K2,
Mm,
and thiamine, which um on carnivore diet, that's going to be your best source of the thiamine, which
yeah.
is important for energy and all that. Um, okay, So now I want to ask you, how have you benefited from the carnivore way of eating?
I love this question. I love this question because there's so many things that have happened. So,
Right?
so like I said, when I got into this was about weight loss, right? That's it.
Yes.
Somebody told me
Yes.
you can
Same
eat this
here.
way and you can lose weight.
Yes, same here. I came for the weight loss, but
Mhm.
I stayed and I will stay for all of the other unexpected
That's it.
benefits I got.
Yes. So it was that I am here. I'm going to lose a bunch of weight. That's how I came in. And then I started eating carnivore. And of course, there was some weight loss, but it was not that dramatic thing. Like I said, like I
Right.
haven't lost that much weight on carnivore. I've lost some weight, but that's not it. So let's just put this weight
Yeah.
topic on the side.
Yeah, it's
How
it's
am
so
I?
little now. Like it's crazy. I spent my whole life. I need to lose weight. I want to be skinny, but I don't care. I do not care about my weight. And yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's exciting, right? We get here and then it's like we're lured in by the weight, but then our
Mhm.
minds just open up to this whole new thing.
Yes.
So that's what it was, Alyssa. I came in here for the weight, and now, well, first I'm going to start with my mind because
Okay.
I'm a lot into mental health. I'm a student now for,
Mhm.
psych mental health. And I'd never actually, like, I knew I had anxiety. I
Mm,
knew that. And at some point in my life, I was medicated for it. But at another point, I just thought, you know what, I don't want to be these people. Before I even knew about carnivore, keto, or diet and mental health, I didn't
mhm.
associate the two but I was taking Lexapro for anxiety, depression type thing. I was but diagnosed with anxiety, but it helped with both because I didn't even know I had the depression
Mhm.
problem until I was on the drug and didn't feel as depressed sometimes. So, but I ended up stop taking the medication because the stereotype about mental health. I was young, I
Mhm.
didn't understand, but I just didn't want to be one of those people who is dependent on a medication for mental
Right.
health, right?
Right.
So I stopped taking the Lexapro, and but I had learned about just like how working out helps my mind. So
Mhm.
I've been working out for many years now, and I know if I work out, I'm going to have a good day. I just know it. If I don't work out, I
Mhm.
better find other things to make my day good, or else it's just going to be a struggle mentally.
Yeah.
So I just started managing my mental health with exercise. But now come to carnivore. So I still had struggles with anxiety. And I still had struggles with just like the obsessive, like the intrusive negative thoughts about myself, how I feel,
Mhm.
how I think other people view me, just like that whole thing. And then also the binge eating disorder, right? That I have. But then when I started eating carnivore, it's almost like my mind, it's like this thing where it's like all of a sudden you see the world in a different way, right? So now my mind is quieter. It has quieted my mind. I'm no longer just like obsessive in my mind, even if I do have a little thing where I'm like I feel anxious. It's like it's something that I can recognize, but
Mhm.
then not ruminate on it for a certain. So now it's just like I recognize I know my triggers, so I stay away from them. But two, it's just like my mind is just quieter. Like even things that used to like blow me up, now I'm just
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm annoyed, but okay, it's not a big deal, and I can just. So it's like
Yeah.
it just has helped to just quiet my mind with the anxiety. And I know that as long as I'm eating carnivore and clean carnivore, I'm not gonna have a binge episode. I know
Right.
that.
Mhm.
So
You
I
can
can
try. You
count
can
the
try
number
if
of
you want
times
to.
I've, binged while, or, yeah, yeah, it's just not going to happen. So it's like the one, I'm full. So I ate really good food. So there's no way I'm going to want to go buy a pastry and do all these things. Now,
Mhm.
when I eat outside of carnivore, because I'm thinking, oh, I'll just have a little bit of that. I'm never going to have a little bit of something that's not carnivore. Then I that leads me to a binge. But as long as I'm eating carnivore, I'm not going to have those mental triggers to go and binge
Mhm.
on junk food, or binge on things like that. So it has helped me with my anxiety. It has helped me with my binge eating, which the binge eating really is a big thing because this has been going on since I was a child, right? So now my, what else has helped? With sleep, right? Sleep and energy. I'm the kind of person who is just a nervous sleeper. Like I worked many years night shift, so I think that messed me up on its own. But then also, and then I got dependent on like taking sleeping stuff. Like I would take Benadryl, I would take Benadryl and melatonin, I would take Tylenol PM. I mean, all of the things just to try and like sleep during the day. And then when I transitioned to working at regular hours, I still had that nervous thing, like, oh my God, if I don't take this thing, I'm not going to fall asleep. And I still have those thoughts every once in a while, but then I don't take, like I stopped taking Benadryl. I think I listened to a Dr. Berry video and he was talking about just like how bad these drugs are, like especially in your old age and like Alzheimer's and dementia. I forget which one it was. So I had to stop taking them for that. But then I find myself like, if I actually go to sleep and lay down and sleep, I will fall asleep eventually. So it's like, I don't need all the one, because my mind is quiet. I don't have these racing thoughts when I'm trying to fall asleep. And then my body is just it's like I can just sleep, I can just fall asleep. And even if I don't get enough sleep, which before, if I didn't get enough sleep, if I didn't sleep, like get 8 hours, 9 hours, I don't know how many hours I thought I needed to sleep, I would wake up and I'd just be a beast. And I'd feel even bad for just like my boyfriend, like, I'm grumpy, I didn't sleep good last night, don't ask me questions. But now it's like, even if I say I got like 6 hours of sleep, which before I thought was impossible for me to feel any type of good, I can have 6 hours of sleep and I can just have the day. I can go to work. I'm not worried about, oh my God, I'm going to crash later, I'm going to need a second cup of coffee. I don't even drink a second cup of coffee. Like the coffee that I drink is in the morning when I wake up. And then my energy level is the same all day, whether I ate food at 12 or didn't. Like my energy level is just the same. So like it has helped. I'm just level. I get sleep, I have the energy for the day, and that's that. And also I was realizing when I was eating carbs, I started to have this thing where it's like and I know that a lot of people who have like insulin resistance, they get this, like, you're overweight and then you start having this thing where it's like, even like under like my breast, it was just like this, like kind of like this rash. It's like essentially what I believe it is from just like researching. It's like when you have like candida overgrowth, it's like this kind of like yeasty thing. It's like I'm just like itching, and then sometimes like on other parts of my body, like folds. I just feel like I just have this, like, it's like my skin is just like not resting. It's like I'm itching. It's like, then I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna buy like whatever cream or powder that I can put so that I don't like sweat, because if I sweat, then it's always like this thing. But then I noticed when I started eating carnivore, not even thinking about that, all of a sudden I didn't have that anymore. Even, and even how when you're like, you could probably relate when you're working out, I'm always in sneakers. My like, so like, and then at work I'm in sneakers or whatever closest to, so like my feet never really got a chance to like breathe. So sometimes I would have this like irritation in between my toes. And I forget the name for athlete's foot is what the creams say on them. So then sometimes it would be just so bad that I like put athlete's foot cream to just like settle my toes, because it's like winter, I can like just sit outside in the sun and like have my bare toes out. But with carnivore, I don't have that anymore. It's just like little things like that before they were just so irritating, but I just got used to dealing with them.
Right.
And I mean, what else? It's just so many things,
Right.
I'm
so
just nicer
it's
too.
crazy because it's crazy because all these things have happened, because like for me, somebody will ask me and I have my go-to things that I'll say, and then later on I'm just thinking about 10-20 things like, oh yeah, that's gone, then this is better. And
No, my favorite part though, honestly, is like the mental part. Like when I say my mind, it's just like the way I view even the world, like I view people different. I'm like, I feel like I've always been a nice person because people just told me that. And it was my intention to always be nice to somebody, but it was something I had to think about, right? Like I have to be polite. I always have to be kind. But now it's just like, I see people for like like if somebody is rude to me or rude to someone else, instead of me just like writing off that person, like, oh, okay, they're rude. Like I don't, I'm I'm this kind of person who will always think about why, like, what is making that person be this way? I won't like
Carbs.
the quick, yeah.
Carbs.
So then it's like I feel sad for people that if you gotta be that upset and be rude to someone else, like clearly you're not happy with yourself.
Yeah.
And what is going on inside of you that is making you
Mhm.
treat other people this way? So now I have empathy for people that on my
Right.
regular days I would have just dismissed and think, okay, this person's rude or whatever. But now I have just
Mhm.
empathy for people that I don't like, which is
Yes.
so it's like I
Yes.
just see the world in a different way. I'm like, I'm just life is good and happiness
Yes.
is a
Yes.
choice, but at the same time, it feels good, right? It's not like something I gotta work
Mhm.
on, wake up, meditate, it's like I can just wake up and feel okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's that zero carb zen. That's what I call it. Zero carb zen.
Yeah.
All right. So the last question I have for you is, do you have any advice for someone thinking about trying carnivore or just starting out?
Ooh, someone just starting out trying carnivore. I think my advice is, well, it's why do you, what is even bringing you to this place
Mhm.
where you're thinking carnivore? Where is your mind at, and what has happened? Because we're all coming with a story. Um,
Mhm.
but I think if your story is similar to mine and it's weight loss, well, first of all, congratulations on even being aware that, weight loss is a part of getting you to a healthy place.
Mhm.
But if you're coming to carnivore and for weight loss, I just want to tell you the results will come. But right now, just focus on actually giving it a chance. Just focus on, let me just try carnivore and then just see how I feel. Because
Mhm.
once you start to feel good, you will start to reevaluate your goals, right? It's like,
Yeah.
you'll start to realize that it's more than just your weight loss, it's more your health overall,
Mhm.
physical, mental, all of these other things. It's like, just give it a chance because it's going to open up your mind in so many ways. And not only is it going to open up your mind about health in general, you're just going to start to build relationships that you didn't realize you needed.
Yes.
Like I'm here right now talking to you, but the first time I ever saw you was on Instagram, and I just got so motivated by just watching your journey. I mean, we never talked. I didn't even know what your voice was like, but I just was
Right.
drawn into your energy by just watching what you eating, you working out, you with your kids, you with your husband. And it's just these things that help you with your day that you didn't even realize you needed, right?
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
just like, just try it, give it a chance, and just watch your life change. And it's healthy.
Yes.
It's so healthy.
Yes.
It's going to help you with your overall health, all of it. So
Yes. Every
that's my
every little
advice.
aspect, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, this was so awesome. I enjoyed this so much. It was a lot of fun talking to you. And thank you. Thank you so much again for meeting with me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I am just so excited to have met you. I love your shirt.
Thank you.
No,
You know,
thank you.
I
This is great.
this is my walking billboard.
Yeah.
The world needs to know, and I want
Yes.
people to see it, and I want them to be like, "Wow, you're crazy. Why are you wearing that shirt?" And I want to have a conversation.
Yes.
Like let me tell you what it's done for me and millions of
Mm-hmm.
other people.
No, I love that. I love that. And honestly, Alyssa, I think you're doing something great. What you're doing as far as even you with your YouTube channel, sharing your fitness journey, sharing that you can eat and feel good and look this beautiful. But thank you for sharing it, right? Because you don't even realize how many people you're impacting. You just have no idea because you're not thinking, oh, I'm posting this video for to reach a thousand views or whatever. You're posting a video to share your journey, but you are impacting so many people in such a positive way. So please keep going. we need more people like you because this healthcare situation going on here is just out of control.
Yes, I know. Oh my goodness, I know. Thank you so much. Those are such kind words.
You're welcome.
Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you on Instagram, right?
Yes, for sure.
All right, take care, Tiny.
You take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
That's it for today. Until next time, stay meaty, stay strong, and stay inspired. Do you have a carnivore story to tell? Connect with me on Instagram at meet MEAT Mrs. MRS Grubs GRUBS, and I will add you to the list. The world needs to know that meat heals, and I would love to interview you.